Hi guys, and welcome to the Two Dogs podcast. I'm Dr. Inky.
I'm Dr. Ali.
Yeah, and today we have a very interesting topic, a little bit a different topic than last week, right? And I think this is quite relevant to a lot of people, even to myself, because I'm actually looking for a new property.
Oh, bigger one.
Different one, right?
Bigger one.
Different one. So I'm moving to a place where it's much nearer to my kids' to my kids' school, right? And as well as much nearer to the workplace. And it's a much safer environment, all right? It's a much more safer environment.
I can't wait.
Yeah. So we're looking at properties, right? So we were contemplating whether to get new development or to get a sub-sale.
Okay.
Right. However, sometimes even if you do get new developments or even you get sub-sales, right, the prices might not be as forward as you think it is. A lot of times you think you just pay down payment and and that's it. That's a lot of other stuff that eventually you have to pay for.
Absolutely. It's like Transformers.
Oh really?
Yeah. More than meets the eye.
Oh yeah.
Brings back memories. Damn old. Yeah, but that's the thing about buying property, and I'll probably share my 2 cents worth of bad experience also. But also there are good experiences. But basically, everybody is going to subject themselves to purchase a property, like it or not, unless you are the type that wants to rent for the rest of your life, which they are in certain countries, to be fair. But in Malaysia, it's cliche. It's cultural.
Yeah.
It's cultural. You must own a property.
Yes.
You must own a landed if possible.
If it's possible.
If it's possible. But we're not talking the difference between landed versus condo anymore. Right now, we're going to talk about today's topic, which will be the weird things or the difficult things.
You forgot what you're talking about today. You know what?
Wait.
I also forgot. Wait. What's something about things you should know when buying a property?
Things people don't tell you.
Yes.
Things people don't tell you when buying a property. And with us is Musyrifah from last week. She's here laughing.
The reason why she's here,
Yes.
right? Musyrifah,
FYI. Please
introduce yourself. Introduce yourself. Let us know what you actually do for a living.
Okay, I'm actually a lawyer, and I've been in practice for more than 12 years. And I actually as well sit for the Strata Management Tribunal. So if you don't know what that is, under the Kementerian Perumahan, they have 2 tribunals set up for people to come and file their claim. One is a home buyers tribunal, and one is for strata management. So these are basically for people having dispute and people living in a strata environment like condos.
Okay, so in lay people language,
Basically,
if you buy condo,
if you buy a condo, you got a problem in condo, you go and see a lawyer.
yes.
Yes, you can file a claim at the tribunal.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
So when you file a claim at the tribunal, I might be the one who decides on your claim.
That's why at least trying to be on the good books.
Absolutely. It's about who you know and who knows you. Who you know doesn't matter what you know. I know Hati, he don't know me, But if he knows me, it's like, you walk into the meeting, you're like ultra confident already that at least it's not unfavorable to you. I wouldn't say it's favorable to you yet, but just maybe not so unfavorable towards you. Plus, you can just get some hits up, If you're going to file this, don't bother, you're going to lose. You file this, maybe got some percentage of winning chance, But that's what having a good lawyer is anyway. True? All right. So, having said such, let's kickstart with today's topic. Mush, why don't you tell us one thing the first thing, you kickstart the first one, the most common mistake or the most common hidden thing that people don't realize when they buy a property, whether it's new
or old, or whether it's condo or landed.
Okay, being a lawyer myself, the one thing that people don't think about is legal fees. Yeah. So when they buy a house, they think about, the house is that much, I have to make sure I have 10% for the deposit. Yes. But there are also other costs associated to that. So you have to pay your lawyer for preparing the agreement, and then if you take a loan, then you also have to pay your lawyer to prepare those loan agreements. So these are costs as well that you need to bear in mind when you're trying to budget on how much you want to spend on your house or what is your available budget for buying a house.
Generally, what's the percentage of the house value in terms of legal fees that they have to pay?
It goes by way of scale fees, and this is fixed under the Solicitors Remuneration Act. So the Bar Council actually fixes a scale for when it comes to property transaction. So it depends on the value of the property. So if for the purpose of preparing the sale and purchase agreement, we will be based on the purchase price. If it's for preparing the loan documents, it will be based on your value of your loan, the amount of the loan. Yeah.
So yeah, again, there's a lot of all these legal fees to actually pay. And after that, and another thing that a lot of sometimes some people have to pay, especially if there's strata title, is the MOT.
Yes, that one comes most of the time these days. It will come later.
Yes.
So when you buy the property, the title is still under the name of the developer, because it's one big title. So what happens is the developer would then need to submit to the land office for the application to split the title into the individual title. So once that title comes out, then they will write to you and say, okay, it's ready, please do the transfer. So that's when you need the memorandum of transfer, which is the MOT. And this is also an additional cost that you have to pay, because when you do the MOT, if you have a loan, you also have to do the POC, the perfection of charge, for the loan that you still have on the property. Yeah, so these are all costs that people don't think about when they're buying a property.
Yeah, so basically it's after you purchase the property, couple of months to couple of years down the road, suddenly you get a letter that you have to pay another amount, a big chunk of amount for the MOT and any other legal fees.
Yeah, it's no joke. I'll be honest, I'm still stupid, but I used to be stupider.
A bit less stupid now.
Now less stupid, but used to be stupider. Well, I won't say stupid. It's things that people don't tell you.
Yes, that's right.
Really, you go in to the property developer, or you want to buy a sub sale, and that time I remember the first property I bought, 270,000 condo in Sentul. At that time, the Malaysian stay Sentul, they said I'm crazy.
Yeah.
So, but good thing I bought it. So, but anyway,
it's hot market, man.
Now it's hot market
there.
So you have to put in that 10% down payment. Alright, so okay, 10% down payment done. What's next? Go secure your loan. You have 90 days to go secure your loan. Alright, go secure the loan. Then suddenly one after another, pay this.
Yeah, pay the legal fees,
pay this,
S&P
pay that,
fees,
stamp duty.
Yeah.
Like, wow,
It's a lot of money.
it's a lot of money. And that's not even the renovation yet.
Yes, that's right.
And then no one tells you how much is renovation.
Yes.
Because you go and like me, bloody luku, just go, see IKEA, IKEA nice, then you calculate, write everything down, then you go to furniture shop, it's a bit cheaper, then you say, okay, let's be smart, let's go warehouse. Go warehouse, pick up everything at 50%, save a lot of money, but at the end of it, ngam budget everything for all the furniture, for all the renovation, for all the fittings, for the paint job. Then comes the bill. Not the bill for the furniture, but comes the bill from the lawyers, from the stamp duty. Oh my God.
Yeah. You fork a lot.
Oh my
lot to pay.
God.
There's a lot.
And that's being very modest on renovation. Modest on renovation. And they never tell you how much your renovation agak-agak will cost.
Yeah. Your renovation is generally always much higher than what you budgeted. It's generally.
And you should always have a contingency when you're doing renovation, because there's always things.
What is
unexpected.
the common percentage of your property that you should sort of like say set aside for renovation?
Well, it really depends on your appetite lah. It really depends how grand you want it.
I mean, just go modest. We're not going grand. Modest.
I would say these days, right, easily, if let's say we are talking about a condominium, 1,000 square feet condominium, which is very common now, right? I would say if it's a brand new condo, you might need to budget easily 70 to about 100K just for renovation.
Yeah, I think it depends also on the purpose.
Yes, exactly.
If you are buying to rent, you may not necessarily need to furnish it full furnished,
That's true.
and you may not to have the high-end furnish. So maybe 20% of your property value. So if your property is maybe 50,000, I think 500,000 value. I think 100,000 is quite generous already, including aircon, lights, and everything, built-ins. But if you don't have built-ins, then it will be cheaper.
Much cheaper, yeah.
But if you're saying for yourself, you may want to have a certain type of hood or a certain cooker range. So all those things will add up.
Yeah. So the one thing I realized, actually, the one that costs the most, right, when you're renovating your house, right, is three things. Electrical wiring, they're pretty pricey, and they charge you by per meter and per plug point, per plug point. And if you install like an aircon point, it's more expensive and all. Number two, plumbing. If you do need plumbing, all right, a lot of old properties do need plumbing, whereby there's all leakages and all, and then you have to start a hack and you remove the old plumbing, you reinstall a new plumbing, and then plaster it back. And third of all, kitchen. Kitchen is damn expensive.
Yeah, appliances are usually big ticket items.
The kitchen itself is expensive. I mean, you want all these built-in cabinets, you want a nice, hard countertop. Yes, it's really expensive.
Yes, and I've met quite a few people who spend a lot on the kitchen. No joke. But it's beautiful.
But they don't use it.
They don't cook it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes it's just to make you happy when you come home. Like, oh, I have a beautiful kitchen.
If you're happy and you know it, don't cook your food, right?
Same as ours.
They don't want to dirty their perfect kitchen.
Yeah. So my wife is looking for a house, and then she wants to make a nice kitchen, and but you don't cook. Yeah. But
it's nice to food prep.
No. I will cook if you.
No.
You won't cook. I say, you know what,
Geraldine, you can't fool us. You know what? You can't fool us, Geraldine. I'm on Inky's side on this.
Exactly.
Yes.
So a lot of times, and even what Mush said, kitchen appliances.
I think next week you're not coming here.
Yeah, exactly. So kitchen appliances, kitchen appliances are pricey.
Yes.
Your refrigerators, your ovens, your nowadays a lot of people buy thermomixes. Those are like a couple of thousands. Yeah. And then air fryers and whatever not. So there was a point in time my wife wanted to buy a juicer.
Yeah, we spoke about that before.
Yeah, we spoke about that. So she wanted to buy a juicer. Say, this juicer, my friends are using a very good cold press, what? All the vitamins are there, and then you get all the fibers and all. I can cold press every morning. Then I ask her, how much does it cost? Well, it costs this amount. It's mid four figures in a thousands .
Is it that brand that starts with a H?
Yeah. So I calculated.
Oh, you know too. Yeah. Do you have one?
No, I just admire from far.
Yeah, exactly. So I calculated. I said, you know what? You can go boost juice every day for the next 3 years. For the next 3 years. And that will only just break even the cost of the juicer, not including the price of the fruit. So you know what? I will pay. I'll give you a credit card. I'll pay for your boost juice for the next 3 years.
No. Take the money, put it in a compounding account. You may withdraw slowly. It's okay. Each time you do, pay and claim.
Yeah. So majority of the people, right, they will spend on all this stuff, and especially all the appliances, and not reuse them. But of course, if you do use them, very good. Go ahead. So I know people that really love to cook and really love to bake. So everything just go ahead.
They just have a Zanussi kitchen
tabletop, small
tabletop stove. Zanussi. That's all. Nothing fancy.
All right. So now, so that's cost. What about things that people should prepare themselves? Mentally prepare themselves when they are purchasing a new property.
Let's talk new first.
Let's talk new property. Things that need to mentally prepare themselves.
Okay, so if you're buying a new property, most of the time you'll be buying directly from the developer. So the two things that you should be concerned about is one, firstly, whether or not the property is delivered to you on time. Because when you sign the sale and purchase agreement, they will specify the time by when the property has to be delivered to you. If it's not delivered on time, then you have you can claim for late late delivery penalty, LED they call it.
How late is late?
Because there will be a date. So typically the delivery period, depending on the development and whether or not the developer has asked for an extension to the relevant ministry, is between 24 months to 36 months. So it's from the date that usually they will say date from the date you sign the SPA. So 24 months or 36 months from the date you sign the SPA, the developer has to deliver the property to you, ready. But if you are claiming for the LED, for the date delivery penalty, what you need to know is when you calculate the LED, they should calculate from the date you sign the booking form.
Oh, booking form.
Yes.
Not even from the time when the loan is dispersed and stuff. From the time you sign the booking form?
Yes.
Oh,
So
wow.
sometimes what happens is when the purchaser is not aware of their rights, the developer will say, okay, it's actually this amount of money, but what we will do is if you agree that you're gonna accept it at 50% discount, we will pay you now. So sometimes the purchaser feel that they are pressured to decide that, but they should know that they are not. Firstly, the calculation should be from the LAD period. Secondly, if the amount due is less than 50,000, if the developer refuses to pay, they can bring an action at the Home Buyers Tribunal for the LAD itself.
Interesting. So if it's below 50,000, late delivery, because it was calculated from the offer letter.
From the
booking
date you
day,
sign,
booking
yeah.
When you pay your booking fee.
Yeah, because
1,000,
sometimes,
2,000,
because sometimes you pay the booking fee first, and then you may sign the SPA a few months later.
Yes.
Yeah, so when you're calculating the LAD, they will consider each day that it's late. So a few months late might come up to quite a bit of money depending on the value of your property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a good thing to know.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing that no one told us. They usually don't tell us the bad things.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's one thing. And second thing is, of course, you need to check the property for defects. Because when the property is delivered to you, they have what we call a defect liability period. So that's called a DLP. So DLP is typically 24 months from the date of vacant possession. Yeah, so from the time you get your key, or from the time the developer sends you a notice to say, okay, you have the property is ready, please come and collect your key. If you don't collect the key by a certain date, we assume that the key has been collected. So
Okay.
from that date, it's considered VP has been
VP has
taken,
been taken.
regardless of whether or not you've taken your key.
Okay,
So once you get your key, you have to go and inspect your property.
Okay.
To make sure that there's no defects, and if there's any defects, to make sure that it's submitted to the developer and all the work is done.
So it's generally for the defect period is 24 months. That is standard, or that is by law?
That is standard by law, because when you are buying a new
development.
property, but this is we're talking about residential, not when it comes to Soho and all that. So when it comes, Soho is still under
Under
residential.
commercial,
No, Soho is still under
Oh, Soho is
residential
under
because it has a
residential.
residential component.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but not when you're buying office spaces. So now we're talking only about
Yeah,
residential.
I think today let's make it clear.
Yeah, let's talk about residential. Otherwise, it's just too many to talk about.
Yeah, otherwise it'll be too wide.
Yes.
So when you are buying a residential property, any of the sale is subject to the Housing Development Act. And under that, they have a schedule fixed in terms of your SPA. Depends on the type. It will be this will be the SPA. That's why the terms of the SPA is not going to differ from purchaser to purchaser. Everybody has the same one for that particular development. Yeah, so the DLP period is actually stated under the Act.
24 months. So, what the purchaser would have to do is inspect the property, submit the claims, and say, all these are defect, and get the developer to fix it. What is the period that the developer needs to fix it? Can the developer just
As long as
just
the
leave it?
submission is done within the DLP period, the developer will have to, usually within 14 days, but it depends, of course, now with MCO and all that, it depends on availability of contractors and all that. However, for first-time purchasers, my recommendation is to actually get a reliable contractor to submit the DLP for you. Because when you are a first-time buyer, you don't know what a hollow tile sounds like. And you wouldn't know what to look out for. And you look at the wall, you think, it's fine. And then once you start painting it, you realize, oh my God, my wall is actually not even. That is actually a
Because
defect.
some professional defect checkers now.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So they actually run a company that does specifically to help you check for defects.
Oh, okay.
So you pay them a price, they'll come, they'll check the A to Z. It's like a car, it's like a 180-point inspection checklist they'll do for you. Everything from the walls, slight unevenness also, they will just label. It's up to you. You want to claim, you can, but they've done their job to let you know. Let's say this wall. Okay, this point's a bit off, this point's a bit off, this point's a bit off. Because they can see the shadow. Alright? But whether you think it's worth your time to claim, is it going to make a difference if it's flat or not that flat, is up to you. You can make the hassle. But usually they will most I think home buyers will aim for the larger stuff if it's slightly uneven, unless you are I don't even know why you need a super flat like flawlessly flat wall.
Some people are a little bit a bit
Some
more
people are, I
OCD
think,
about it,
particular.
Yeah,
So it
very
depends
particular.
on your tolerance and what is acceptable to you. Some people just want to renovate, move in, and they don't care about the defects. So they'll just get the contractor to deal with the defects as they come. But just to remind everybody out there that this is something that you can ask the developer to rectify, and not having for it to come out from your own pocket.
What would be the top 3 most
Common defects that you find.
won't say common,
Expensive defects.
Yeah, because common never mind.
Yeah.
Expensive
defects.
Okay.
Common and expensive lah. Common and expensive.
Okay. Usually, what we also recommend is for people to do what we call a ponding test. Yeah. So basically, you turn the taps in your bathroom and leave water and see if there's any kind of leakage. Because the most thing that will cost you money is waterproofing. Because if the waterproofing is a problem, then you have to not only because people will say, okay, just put sealant, it'll be fine. No, you have to actually take out the entire floor and then relay the waterproofing and then lay back the tiles. Because the tiles, once you take out, you can't just put it back. You have to buy a new set. So the waterproofing is very important, especially so when you're living in one of these. Because now they have duplex units where it's upstairs, downstairs. Yeah. So we've had a case whereby there was leakage from upstairs, and they took VP, but they have not visited the property for a long time, and the bottom part was all wooden flooring. So by the time they came back, there was leakage, and all the flooring have warped.
Oh, wow.
So they had to change the entire wooden floor at the bottom, and this was not laminate; it was hardwood floors.
Yikes. Expensive.
Real hardwood floors. But because the water damage was a lot, and because it was over a period of time, and they were not visiting the property, so and it was unfortunate that as well, the defect liability was over, so they had to bear the cost themselves. Yeah, so these are the things that you need to bear in mind.
The other thing that occurs very common. My cousin bought a property in Puchong, and unfortunately for him, 2.5 years after he took VP, the tiles popped up.
What sort of tiles are you talking
Tiles, the floor tiles.
Just regular tiles.
He's in his room, and suddenly he heard crackling sound, and he thought it's like an earthquake. Because really, he said
sometimes it sounds like an explosion.
He said he could actually hear rumbling noise and then pom, like an explosion.
Okay.
And multiple ones, pom, 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 one shot.
And what would be the reason for it?
That's a very interesting. It's actually hollow tiles. So,
so it's pressure build up at the bottom over time.
Your tiles, right? You are supposed to line the concrete below it and lay the tiles together. What happened is, to save concrete, they only lay it in the dead center. So your corners are not there. So as you walk over it, over time, there will be uneven pressures.
Not just the walking, but of course the environment in Malaysia. Because during the day you turn aircon, and then at night, and then the tile shrinks, and then expands and all that. So so when the tile is hollow, then you will have that problem. That's why I was saying that if as a first time purchaser, you wouldn't know what a hollow tile is or what it's supposed to sound like. But somebody who's experienced will be able to guide you through that.
So apparently there was a contractor there that when my cousin had a problem, so liability period over, so he checked with the management, they referred to him this contractor. 2.5 years down the line, sometimes it's not easy to find the same tiles.
Yeah, definitely. Because anyway, tiles are created by batches.
Correct.
Even the same brand would have a different shade of color. Yes.
So this contractor found the exact same one, exact same tone, exact same thing, everything for him.
Because it might even be the contractor that did the bill in the first place.
Then they have
additionals.
Yeah. So apparently he did close to about 180 units.
Oh wow. So
he bought it beforehand. He knew.
He bought all the stocks beforehand. He bought the stocks beforehand. One after another he fixed, and it costs anywhere between, depends on your size. My cousin spent close to about 8K.
So he forecasted that this would be an issue. He waited 2.5 years, stockpiled the tiles, waited 2.5 years.
No. It was not a forecast again. He was lining up future jobs for himself.
Exactly. So he forecasted that that he knew due to his work, this kind of stuff
This kind of stuff is gonna happen. So maybe he's the contractor, or somewhere along the line, he knew the contractor did all these hollow tiles. He pre-bought every damn thing, and then you cannot find anymore. Then he's like, oh, can I have stock for you. You're the second last person already. But you imagine 180 units, right? 9,000 each on the floor. Minted money just doing that.
Okay, alright. So on top of that, since we are talking about strata title, I think a lot of Malaysians, especially first-time buyers, do not even understand what the heck strata means. So what's the difference between a strata title and, let's say, any other titles? Regular titles.
Okay, usually when it comes to strata title, they're talking about community living. So a lot of people seem to think, oh, strata title means condo, but not necessarily. These days, some gated community is also under strata title. So generally, when it's where they have a common facility, where they have a clubhouse and all that kind of pool and that kind of facility, generally those kind of developments are under strata title. Yeah, so those ones are whereby the title starts off one big piece, and then the developer would then need to split it into small chunks. Yeah, correct.
So safe to say, Desa Park will be something like that.
I'm not sure.
I would say Eco Park or Eco Sanctuary. There are a couple of developments I've seen. Large housing area with a clubhouse in the middle, and then generally it's a common pool, and generally it's a from start itself it's really a guarded and gated community. So there is a common security booth, with boom gates, and then they have those security fences all around.
So the difference that you need to know when you're buying is when you have a strata property, you'll be expected to pay management fees. So there's maintenance fee that you are expected to pay every month.
So legally you have to pay
Correct.
Which brings to the new Strata Management Act or something, right? The amendment, which now I'm going to let her say everything, but my common layperson language is if you don't pay, now the management actually has
the right to bar you from entering,
locking up your house even.
Locking up your house? Really? They can actually lock up your house?
Yeah, they can get the enforcer, which is under the COB, the Commissioner of Buildings, to come and sita your things.
Sita your house?
Not your
belongings?
Like big sita, yes.
It means they can come and open your door and then take all your stuff away.
Yeah, and sell it and sell it
to
use
cover
it correct.
To lelong it and cover.
Oh my God. But that's after sufficient warning.
Yes,
after
sufficient
I mean, these
warning.
are of course errant kind of, because at the Strata Management Tribunal, under the Strata Tribunal, the maximum amount of claim is up to 250,000. For Housing Tribunal, is 50,000. And then under the Strata Management Tribunal as well, Limitation Act doesn't apply. So basically, what that means is, if you want to file a claim in court, depending on what is the type of claim, you may be time barred from filing, because we take the view that you have to file as soon as possible. So if you're going to take time to file it, means you're not interested, so you shouldn't be allowed. But when it comes to strata management, time limitation doesn't apply. So we've had cases whereby the management will be filing for management fees that is due to them from the beginning of the time the property was started. And sometimes it can go up to hundreds and hundreds of thousands.
I've actually seen that. So I was actually visiting one of my friend's condo, again, very old condo in the middle of KL City. And then they have this big notice board. Those who never paid. And then I saw the top. He owes like 200,000 ringgit in management fees. I was like, what the heck? That was like, we just doing random calculation, right? He probably hasn't paid for almost more than 8-10
probably
years.
from the beginning.
So apparently, according to my friend who was living there, they are actually confiscating his property to auction off the property to pay for the management fee.
No, I think the property can't be auctioned off by that one can only be done by DBKL, for example.
DBKL,
if you tak bayar if you don't pay your cukai pintu,
cukai pintu.
then yes, authorities can do that. Yeah, but under the Strata Management Act, the COB can actually come and sita the things, your items.
If there's items.
If there's items.
If your car is parked there?
If your car is, the car is of course a bit Because the thing is, if the it's a bit tricky.
Another
Because of course it depends on whether or not the
assets.
car has been fully paid and all that kind of thing, isn't it? If they have a loan with the bank, they can't sita as well. Because the bank will have the first right to the car.
That's right. That's right. Oh, interesting all this stuff.
Yeah.
Things I never knew. Really things I never
No one
knew.
tells us all this.
No one tells you all this. So you don't pay a management fee. Get ready. Someone's going to open your lock and then remove all your stuff.
Correct. So with the management fee thing, but what I've noticed is that previously even here, this building, we used to have like 4 pages long of people, defaulters haven't been paying. My unit, the owner hasn't paid also. And then we have to call it, hello, I've been paying, right? Please don't give me a bad name. But even my condo, at one time it was like 2.5 pages long. But ever since this act came out, it shrinks down to just about a page. Just about a page. Most people actually take it
I think
seriously.
yeah, because once the management of the management or the management corporation or the JMB, depending on the property, files a claim at the tribunal, most of the time people will settle.
Yes.
You know, they don't want the hassle. They don't understand exactly what that's going to entail. They don't want all these things, so they just pay up. Yeah. So that is a good thing about it.
Oh, that's good. So Inky, are you getting a landed or are you getting a condo?
Nah, that one I can't tell you lah. No, because right, I just paid the booking fee. I haven't really settled the loan and everything. So once I got a loan dispersed, then maybe I can tell you.
So
right?
new one
Probably can
booking
tell
fee
you.
means new one
I paid the booking fee. Okay, so now another thing that previously a lot of developers do, right, is when you pay a booking fee and you got your loan rejected, sometimes they actually confiscate your booking fee. That's previously. Previously when you want to back out from your so-called commitment, right? They will actually confiscate or they probably take like 50%. Apparently it's illegal. You can't actually confiscate someone's booking fee.
Well, that's not. I mean, that's not exactly correct. What the situation is, the developer cannot collect any booking fee or earnest deposit until the SPA is signed.
Oh.
So usually what they do is they will collect a small booking fee and then they say you pay the balance 10% when you sign the SPA.
Yes.
But notice how now what the developers are doing is when you pay the earnest deposit, is not paid to the developer anymore, it's paid to their lawyer as stakeholder.
Oh really? Oh, no, I didn't know.
Because they're not entitled, under the act, they're not supposed to collect in the booking fee.
Okay,
So by right, no money should be collected until they sign the SPA.
Interesting stuff.
But that one is called to choke that orange dot.
Yeah,
Yes.
you want to put
On the chart.
Yeah.
On the chart.
Chop. Yeah, you want to chop orange.
Yeah.
Alright, for those who are listening in, from Malaysia, too bad. Only Singapore and Malaysia know what choke means. It's like this finger that when you do like this, right?
Yeah.
You've got this
Yeah.
power of reservation.
Yes, exactly.
Power of reservation. You can't do it. It's like choke. Choke. That's my seat.
Yep, exactly.
That's my parking. Choke. It's like timeout also.
True.
Yeah. So anyway, Coca-Cola actually made a ad about it.
Oh yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago. Yeah, chop.
Okay, coming back.
Yeah. So, what
Alright,
else?
so the other thing about property that people don't really tell you so much about is after you take possession, and then let's say you did your inspection, everything, and you start to do your renovation. Is there anything that governs or safeguard you? Because now there's a lot of hot issue against renovators who don't deliver. Or is that purely just a civil suit that you need to take?
That one will be a civil suit because it's your choice in terms of which is the contractor that you engage. So anything that's not delivered is actually a breach of contract. Whether that contract is written or verbal doesn't matter, but that is a position, breach of contract. But what people also have to remember is when you apply for renovation, if you're living in a strata environment, you also need to get approval from management. Especially people who live in a gated and guarded community, which is a strata environment. But they think, they can just change their gate, or they just tile all the porch and all that in another manner without getting approval from management. They cannot do that, or they just decide they want to paint the house red. They can't. In a strata environment, you can't do any renovation or any change to the facade unless you get management approval.
So if let's say they do not get management approval and they've done the renovation, what can the management do? Can the management ask them to revert back?
Yes.
Can they ask them to revert back? If they
Yes.
don't revert back, what are the what are the legal
Then the
complications?
management can then file a case at the tribunal against that parcel owner and to seek for an order for rectification and for them to restore the property back to the original condition. If let's say the owner still refuses, usually we will give an ancillary order, which means that an additional order to say that if they don't do it, the management can do it and charge it to their maintenance account.
Okay.
Because the purpose for strata property is you want uniformity. So you don't want suddenly, there's a random yellow house out of all these nice, black and white buildings, Yeah, so it's that, because it's all about community living.
Because some of them, some condos, what happened is that they want to convert their balcony into a room.
Oh.
But I think for
The older ones, they can.
older ones, then like if you drive past up by Tivoli Villa, for example, you will see it on your left or on your right, depending on which side you're coming from. You will see the balcony. Some of it has windows. Some of it actually is an actual room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of the older
Previously,
ones,
yes, you can.
Montclair,
Now, no
even
way.
in Bangsa South, in Kerinci, old Kerinci area,
Yep.
some of the older condos, what has happened, because the balcony is ridiculously
Large, yeah.
It's the size
I know.
that beats the size of your guest room.
No, because previously, it was supposed to be like a small garden area, supposed to plant stuff, put lounge chairs and stuff like
Barbecue.
that. Yeah, barbecue and all. Yeah.
So that's why after a while people don't use it, so they actually just seal it up. They put a window around it. I mean, they don't extend, which is good, but they do that and then they make it into a room. I think even some, they even put awnings, which I think nowadays they don't allow. You're not allowed to have any
Not unless you
awnings.
have a specific approval from management.
Now,
But that's a good thing about buying landed property. You can put any grill you want, you can put any awning, you can paint your house whatever color.
all right. So now we've been talking about strata and all. So let's go back to the very, very basic one, right? Freehold versus leasehold properties, right? Other than the years of tenure, which we understand, like a leasehold is 99 years or 60 years, right? Let's say at the end of a leasehold, right? What's going to happen? What's going to happen to the property?
I think generally people are concerned that leasehold, because of course with leasehold it's just leasehold for that tenure. So people are worried that after 99 years suddenly the government might decide that they want to take it back. But honestly, I think it's very, very unlikely. So most of the time what happens is then the tenure of the leasehold will be extended for an additional number of years. But of course it's nothing like buying freehold when you own it absolute out,
Okay, but let's say like I think only the last couple of years, certain parts of PJ that was on a 60-year
60-year
leasehold.
They had to
PJ
renew.
Old Town,
Yes.
then they came into the period whereby they had to renew. When they renew, it's how many years?
I think
30 years, right?
it depends. Yeah, it depends on the application. It depends on the area, because because when it comes to land matters, it's state by state.
So
Yeah.
it's their discretion, right?
Yeah,
So
it's at
every
their
state is
discretion. Yeah.
But has there been, to your knowledge, has there been any in our history whereby the leasehold property was actually the government just said, bye, guys, we want it back?
Well, I can't recall off the top of my head any that I know of that has happened. But to say that would not ever happen is also, I can't, outrightly say
because
that.
they have the rights.
Yeah.
They have the
but
right.
They have the rights.
is it likely that they're going to do it?
Not really, but they have the rights if they want to. Okay.
Because to be fair, right, there are some properties whereby it's leasehold, but it's in a very prime strategic area. And then, I'm not going to live 99 years. Really. And if you buy and you do the capital appreciation, if you sold within the first 30 years, whoever bought from you after 30 years still has 70 good years. They will outlive that house.
Exactly.
In fact, the guy who's at risk is the guy who buys it with the 30 remaining years.
Yeah. So, but it's also if you're looking at all these leasehold things, right? Currently, most of the new properties are all 99 years, as you mentioned. Not like the older versions whereby it's 60 years. So it's 99 years. 99 years is easily 4 generations away.
Correct.
It's 4 generations away.
Correct. Buy right, is it? You take care of yourself, lah.
Nowadays, nobody lives in a house for more than 2 generations. And most of the time, when it's handed to the second generation, they want to sell off and move somewhere else. So yeah, I mean majority of the areas these days, even the ones the one that I'm living in now is Isharam, it's majority leasehold. It's majority leasehold. Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
People don't really complain. Yeah, because the very typical Chinese mentality.
Yeah. I want only freehold, right?
Freehold,
Landed.
they must be cheap or something.
Yeah.
How the hell are you gonna get all three together?
Can I get?
But now I think it's all about location.
Okay, so now that's the next thing that I'm gonna ask. Between paying a little bit more but staying nearer to your place of work and a smaller place. So let's say you spend, let's say, 800,000 for a 2,000 square feet, or let's say 1,500 square feet condo, but it's 5 to 10 minutes to your workplace, versus 600,000, but for a double-story corner lot. But it'll take you, on a good day, 45 minutes to work, on a bad day, 2 hours. It's a lame answer because you stay very far.
Alright, so I will answer first, right? I love landed, I hate condo. Alright, I lived in condo for 10 years. Hated every single year of it.
Which condo you stay in?
I live in a condo in PJ.
Okay.
Alright, hated, and some of my unit was like on the 3rd floor. I can literally walk up.
Okay.
I hated every single day I stayed there.
Why do you hate it so much?
Because prior to that, when I was much younger, I grew up in a house.
Okay.
Then I moved to a condo.
Right.
Then now I'm living in a house again. The period when I'm living in a condo, alright, and I wasn't used to it, is when I park my car, I'm not in my house. When I park my car, I'm still in a public area.
Okay.
Alright? When I'm in my house, when I drive my car and I click, right, the door closes, I just walk 5 steps, click, open the door, shut it back. I'm in the security of my own house really.
Okay.
This one, I have to park, I need to walk, and what's worse, on the days you go grocery shopping, there's tons of stuff to lug to the lift, press, wait.
Hey, hello.
Wait a couple of minutes for your lift.
Okay.
Sometimes lift opens, it's full, it closes, and then go inside, and then you hold so much grocery, and people say, can you press this floor for me? Then after that, walk another 50 steps to your unit, open, and only you're inside. Alright, so that's the part where I didn't enjoy.
That time not so much muscle, right?
This doesn't matter. The fact that
I remember I saw your photos, you're quite skinny that time.
exercise. Right. So the fact that I parked my car and I'm still 7 to 10 minutes from my house. I need to walk to the condo, I need to wait at the lift, take the lift out, walk and then go inside. Yeah. And then on top of that, I have to pay management fees for the high.
But you got
management fees,
You get pool, you get
which
gym.
you would rarely use. Which most of the people don't really use their
Okay, answer the question first.
Okay, I would rather have a house, and I'm currently driving half an hour to an hour to my workplace on a daily basis.
Alright.
So I'm fine. I'm fine by it. I rather have a landed area.
Okay. Mush.
Well, my happy medium would be somewhere in between. Because I don't think I want to stay so close to work as well, because I like to have that separation that when I'm driving home, I'm actually driving home. If it's just around the corner, it almost feels to me like you haven't really left your office. But whether a commute of 45 minutes or 2 hours is something I'll do, I don't think so. So I think a happy in between would be my choice.
So what, 30 minutes?
Yeah, I think 30 minutes is acceptable.
I think 30 minutes for Malaysia is acceptable.
Yeah.
Anywhere is within 30 minutes drive these
Yeah.
days.
I think 30 minutes is fine. 30 minutes is fine. Even mine
On a bad day.
on average day is 30 minutes. On a good day it's 12.
Nah.
Show off. But on average day it's 30, on a bad day it's an hour plus. Yeah, but I would probably be on the other side of the fence, that I don't see myself staying in a landed so much anymore. I used to stay in so when I was younger we stayed in landed, then we went to a condo, then went back to landed. Then after that I've been stuck in the condo since. But I spent a small time, about 3 years on landed also. I was renting a place. But the final landed that I stayed, I had bad experience. I got broken into twice, and then my neighborhood tend to get a lot of robberies. So they either get into your house, or there was one that was classic. I was actually out for a morning run, And when I walked past one of the house, there was police officer outside the house. So I was just asking what happened. And they said, oh, the lady backed her car out, went to the gate to close the gate. Some two guys on a motorbike came, one just jumped out, going to the car and drove the car away.
Okay.
Yeah.
And plus I had certain instances whereby for some reason I noticed a car that's following me. A car that's following me. And I'm not in my best shape of alertness also. You know, it's on call, you come back quite late. But somehow managed to notice why this car is following me. And I had to just drive past my house first. Because I just don't feel safe to, you know, even click on the gate and go in yet. So I had to drive, and somehow he was following me, but when I did 2 or 3 more rounds, he just drove off. So then only I decided to go back home. So those were the few instances that you know, it kind of just gives me that I need to be extra alert. And then one of the tips I learned later is always back your car in, don't drive straight in, because then you can see who's coming in from the gate, rather than you drive straight in and then you just, you know, we are never really staring at the rear view mirror before we alight from the car. We're always busy taking this, that, and if it's a lady, you'd be like hunting for your purse, your everything, put on your shoes, and by the time you get out, then only your gates are closing. You don't know who has followed you into your compound already. And the moment it's in your compound, even you can't run out from your own compound. So, whereas now, when I stay in the condo, it's like any damn time also doesn't matter. The condo is so strict, even my parents cannot come in without signing in. Even though they know my parents, they still force my parents to sign in and get their card. Still will call the unit, won't let them go in. Nobody picks up, you stay outside there and wait. You call your family members to agree to let you in. They'll need to let them in. So I've had that kind of layer of security now, so I felt much safer that I don't need to think so much anymore. Any experience?
I would probably concur with Ali, because I think when I was living, as a single person living on my own, it's always felt a lot more safer in a condo because of those level of security. But of course now recently I moved back with my parents after my sisters got married last year. And God, I was just saying to Dr. Ali earlier the same thing you were saying, and how it's so nice you just park your car and just walk into the door. You know, because of course, you know, I can imagine, you know, grocery shopping, having to carry everything. On top of that, you know, I'm always carrying so many things, especially if I'm going on a dive trip, then I have all my gear back and having to carry everything. And yeah, so now it's just a lot easier.
So you're converting back to the land?
I think only if I'm not staying on my own.
No,
Yeah.
I agree with Mush. You know, if you're staying on your own, or if it's like a very small family, it's just like a couple. There's no point in living in a landed area. You know, it's just too big.
Yep.
Right? Living in a condo is more than enough. It's more than enough space for 2 people. But you know, when it comes to having a family, a large family, and
especially your parents are with you, right?
My parents are with me. Being a condo might feel a bit.
It gets very cramped.
But I know before the MCO, Dr. Ali travels quite a lot, so I can understand the concern of leaving your wife and children at home, you know, when it's a landed
so that's the
property.
thing. If I'm going to always not be around, that's the other thing. And plus, with the facilities, I just let my kids go wild. Do what you want. Don't even need to think. Then I can say, oh, I'm one of those parents, I don't care. I just let them go run around. I don't even bother, you know, show off lah. But actually, so safe. So damn safe. If somebody come and mark them, right, the management will come and counter and say, I'm sorry. Yeah. But again, those are the things people don't really talk to you about when you want to consider buying between a landed or you want to consider getting a condo. Right, next one. Before we cut it off, sub-sale versus new. Which would be better, or would you have any qualms buying sub-sale rather than getting new? Most people like it new, to be fair.
Okay, so from experience, the one I'm staying now is sub-sale. The one I'm planning to purchase is new. The reason why is very simple. Again, what Mush mentioned earlier was all about location, right? Living wherever you want to stay is location. If location is suitable, but it's all sub-sale, then you buy a sub-sale. You have no choice. But if location is suitable and there is a choice between a brand new and a sub-sale, I will buy a brand new provided the cost is not too high. Now, the reason why is this. So we were looking at sub-sales. All right, the whole time we're looking at sub-sale because this is considered a slightly more mature township. All right, they've been around for 10, 15 years already. So we've not really heard of any new development. So we thought, you know what, it's all purely sub-sale. So we're looking at sub-sales, and we have seen easily about 20 houses. And we actually like the location. The houses were not that old, again, 10, 15 years. However, from what we have seen in a lot of these sub-sale houses, there were issues with plumbing and electricity, right? So what we were doing was we were calculating cost. So one was down payment, right? Then what Mush mentioned earlier was all the legal fees, or the SPA and all the legal fees. We were calculating, okay, it's quite a chunk of money already. And on top of that, because it's a sub-sale house and we saw there's a lot of defects, and most of the houses had defects. Oh my God, we had to redo a lot of stuff. You know, we had to put new electrical wiring, plumbing, and what if, you know, there's leakages and stuff like that. Because again, you know, pipes as they age, they do have issues, you know, they crack and stuff like that. And you know, we have to tear, and sometimes when you have leaks, you do not know where it comes from. You have to tear down the walls and all. And we were just calculating the cost, and we were speaking to a couple of friends who just purchased and renovated their sub-sale houses, and the cost was astronomical, more than the small amount that we were looking at. So, oh my God, this is actually quite expensive. And hence, we were looking at brand new development. And someone told us about brand new development. We went, sorry, we actually liked it a lot. Because nowadays, most of these new developers, they actually cover part of the lawyer fee for you.
Actually, I was coming to that also.
So they actually cover part of the legal fees, certain SPAs you don't have to pay. So from there, you can actually save a lot of money. Right? You can actually save a lot of money from there. So, and because it's brand new, you know, there's the liability period whereby if there's any defects, they will fix it for you. True. You have that 24 months of period whereby you can just, this is faulty, that's faulty, and just get them changing for you. And then when you want to move in, just do a little simple renovation and you move in. So in terms of cash-wise, you actually fork out lesser cash in a brand new development compared to a sub-sale, but end of the day, it's all about location.
Yeah, I would say a location as well as budget. Yeah, because I think if you're looking to buy like a mature neighborhood for like Taman Tun or Bangsa, for example, it might be unlikely to find a new development. Most of the time you're looking at sub-sale, but sub-sale requires you to actually have the money for the 10%, your legal fees, and as well as for the SPA and for the loan and all that. But as you pointed out, Dr. Inky, with the new build, most of the time there's a lot of freebies that's given by the developer. Sometimes they even give you a free kitchen or like, you know, the hood and the, So a lot of things that you can then, you know, discount from having to spend it yourself. And I think now I think some developers even, you can buy the property just by putting in the booking fee only. And you don't have to pay the 7% balance because it's given to you as a discount. So it's reflected as if you paid the 10%, but actually you have not.
Not supposed to, but
no, that's them,
that's part of their that's part of their marketing strategy. Then they will give you free SPA legal fee, but you may still have to pay for the loan amount.
What was it that they would usually give free, and what must you pay usually for this new one?
Okay, most of the time the developer will give you free SPA, so which means you don't have to pay the legal fee for the SPA. But you still have to pay for the disbursements, meaning any travelling costs for the lawyers, stamp duties and all that. Usually you still need to pay. Sometimes the developer will give free even, they will pay even the disbursements as well. So it depends. So usually for the loan, banks as well have all these packages whereby you can actually include the legal fee as part of your loan. So which means that if you have to pay the legal fee from the loan, it's actually coming from your loan itself, which means that you also don't need to fork out money. But bear in mind that money is money that you have to pay interest on. And usually when the bank gives you the amount for the loan, they give you above what is actually required for you to pay. Because there's a fixed scale fee. So if let's say for 500,000 loan, maybe the legal fee is X amount. Usually the bank will give you over and above that amount. So you actually end up having to pay a lot more interest at the end of the day.
Because whatever even 1,000 ringgit extra in your loan, it's going to compound into a couple of thousands
over the next 30 years. Yes.
Yeah.
So
But only if the amount is disbursed. So you also need to be aware in terms of for your loan amount, how much actually should be deducted by your lawyer. Because unfortunately, there have been some practices out there whereby they will draw down the entire portion for the loan, although by right, it shouldn't come up to that much. Yeah, because whatever you draw down from the loan, you have to pay interest on it. Yeah, so those are things as well for
because
you
sometimes
to
they
look
draw
out
down
for.
and they dump that extra money into another current account or something, but they've already considered you as taken the full amount.
Yeah. So those are the things that when you are buying, you need to understand what exactly is the developer offering. Because I think under the recent home ownership campaign, they also had additional benefits and all that, some waiver of stamp duty and all sorts of things. So you need to know exactly and understand. I think a lot of people buying a house is quite romantic about the whole idea without really understanding what they're getting into.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think I agree that the whole idea of getting a house, especially when you're a couple, you're already a married couple and all, you're right. There's a very romantic feel to it. You are building your nest. You are starting a new life, or moving, upgrading yourself, and you foresee yourself going to be there for the next 10 to 20 years before you move to the next one, if you want, or if not, you're going to be staying there for the rest of your life, kind of thing. So it's a very romantic thing that you want to do. So people tend to, at the end of it, say, okay, like if you need to do, let's spend. But there's so much of a hidden cost that if you're not careful, you end up burning yourself a really big hole without realizing. I had my current condo was a very pleasant experience. So my experience was I was actually hunting around and finally found this very fortuitous. It's a larger than usual ceiling. It's very high ceiling. It's 18 feet ceiling on a condo that's usually 12 feet. Usually it's between 10 to 12.
Yes.
So this is 18 feet from the front all the way to the end. But the rooms are standard, regular height. But the hall, everything looks extra high, extra everything. So that itself was nice. The whole place was wallpapered. Flooring was beautiful. In fact, I only brought in my TV set and my bed and mattress. Built-ins, everything was fine. Only one room had some defective furniture, so I only had to renovate one room, which only cost me about 15,000 to settle everything. So in other words, it was like saying, instead of getting a sub-sale that then you need to renovate and spend another 100,000, 200,000, I was fortunate enough to actually get one whereby, although the price is a bit higher than market value,
Probably exactly because of that.
which is fine
But
because
everything is really
everything's
Yeah.
all in.
so
So it's like saying my renovation was part of the
partially,
loan,
was
Because the
partially
renovation
subsidized.
alone can be a separate nightmare that
Yeah,
we're not
Right,
going
and you
to do.
can't take a loan. There's no
Yes.
renovation
Yeah.
loan.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a personal loan,
Correct.
but there's no renovation loan.
Yeah, you're right. Totally right.
Which sometimes I think is crazy. I think they should.
No, I think one of the things that you were fortunate was, yes, the renovation, the finance part of it was reflected in the loan. Second part was you didn't have to go through the hassle of going through renovation because
yeah.
that can be quite
Yes.
a large hassle.
That's another thing people don't tell you.
Yeah, that's another thing people don't tell you. So this is actually a story by a friend recently. So apparently, one of his property was under renovation. His mom who's in charge of the renovation, would visit the property on a daily basis for 4 to 5 hours to point out defects and stuff like that, and telling the contractor what to do on a daily basis for 4 months. Every day she'd be there for 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, sometimes things are not up to expectations. Then again, tempers flare, and you have to tell them to redo again. And these are the things that people don't tell you about. So if you can save time in renovation, why not?
Correct. But of course, at the end of the day, it's whether you can accept their renovation or not. Some people they
Yeah,
come
because
in
it's also
different
means of
taste,
taste. Correct.
So in a way, it was very fortunate that what I found was like, I can live with it. I need to fix one room, and even then also when all basic, I nearly just put plain cement on the floor because it's a study room. No need to do all the laminate flooring. The books, hello. Yeah, so that's the other thing. In terms of cost, there was something about renovation. Oh yeah, so even renovation can be a real stickler. Let's say, for example, like COVID. Imagine you got a house, you start your renovation, then bam, 1 year cannot do anything.
And on top of that, right?
You still have to service the loan.
Yeah. And on top of that, people think that renovation is very straightforward. I bring my contract to renovate, right? Actually, if you're living in a landed area, you need approval from a council first. If you're living in a condo, you need approval from the management.
And there's number of days plus hours.
Days and hours, yeah.
Correct.
And then
And as well, I think if you're living in a condo, there's also restriction in terms of time by when you can do the work.
Yes.
Exactly. So
Like
there's
drilling is up to a certain time, I think 12 or 1 o'clock. The total work is until 4, then you have to start packing up, you have to be out by 5. That kind of thing. There's a few things that you have to factor in. And on top of that, let's say if you bought, then you stayed in and suddenly you said, okay, I want to upgrade and do something, where are you going to stay?
Yeah.
Because then you're going to renovate while you're staying inside, which is a mess. If you
And dusty.
You have to clean almost like every day or every other day, which is nuts. But again, we're not trying to scare people, just aware.
Yeah, but just I think it's also good to bear in mind because I had, in fact, it was today I had a very horrible experience with a contractor. Because I'm assisting a client of mine to rent out his unit. So of course the unit, some works need to be done before the unit is rented out. So we got an aircon contractor to check the aircon. So when he came to service, he said, oh, because the aircon has not been used for a very long time, some parts doesn't function very well, so we needed to replace it, fine. So we agreed to the replacement. He gave me a quotation. I agreed, paid him half of the deposit, fine. But when he came to install the aircon, he then realized that the day that he came earlier to service the aircon, he actually had serviced the wrong compressor. He actually had serviced the neighbor's compressor by mistake.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, so because of that, he needed to reservice the compressor, but because it was mistake that was done by him, I had refused to pay for the additional, because why should I? Because you're the service, the aircon service technician. You should check which is the compressor that belongs to the unit. It's simple, right? You turn on the AC, usually if that's the right compressor, it should turn on. Yeah, but he just took it for, took it for granted and assumed, okay, this must belong to the unit and service that. Yeah, and when I refused to pay, of course, he became very nasty to the point of, threatening me and saying, oh, just because you're a lawyer, you think you can do this. But that's not the point. So sometimes there's also those kind of human elements that you also have to deal with when you're dealing with renovations. As Dr. Inky says, sometimes temper flare, But there are certain ways of dealing with things, and there are certain ways how you should not be dealing with things.
That guy should just knock on the neighbor, right? We're having a promotion, 50% recover some money, After all, it's probably lose to the neighbor, but he'll cover back all his raw material costs. We're having 50% one-time offer. Would you like for us to do a check for you? Then you pretend to work, spray spritzer, then come like, this. It's very dirty.
Yeah. I
And
think
so
finding...
we service the wrong ones.
Yeah, so dealing with a contractor is a whole another saga on its own.
Well, Inky, all the best.
Yes, all the
No,
best.
yeah, definitely.
Do invite us for the housewarming.
In the future, if we do get it, no. In the future,
But what's holding up? It's just your loan right now.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the loan. That's number one. Secondly, because it's actually a completed unit.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
completed, but it's still owned by the developer because they didn't manage to sell some of their
Okay.
units, so it's actually held by them. So
But
we are,
have they given the vacant possession?
they have given vacant
No,
possession
as in
to.
the certificate of completion is done?
Yes, it's done already.
So is
Yeah.
it, are you buying a sub-sale?
No, it's considered as brand new.
But is it a
So-
contract?
According to the contract, it's brand new. It's from them. They have some 12 months, 12 to 18 months warranty period. Yeah.
This is the one other thing that you should be aware.
Okay, which is
If
the one
you're
thing you didn't
buying
know.
directly from the
Yeah.
developer and it's after the CCC, so after the issuance of the certificate of completion and compliance, the SPA doesn't fall under the HDA anymore. So it is considered a sub-sale.
Okay, so it's
So
a
which
sub-sale,
means,
okay.
so which means the defect liability period of 24 months is not standard in the contract. So which means if you are buying from the developer after the completion, CCC has been issued, make sure you check with the developer how much time are they giving you for the defect liability,
Yeah.
and make sure it's included in your
Yeah,
contract.
so that's the one that we're actually negotiating there.
Okay, good
That's why
job.
we're negotiating that. They give us 12 months. We want to drag on to 18 months.
Yes, good job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just dragging that. So that's why we're not really.
It's completed
pushing
how
it.
long already?
Completed for roughly about that property has been completed for roughly about 4 to 5 months.
Okay.
Yeah, still
Yeah.
brand new.
But still
But-
technically
Yeah,
brand new lah.
so it's
Yeah.
technically brand new. So we're telling them that because January is 24 months and you completed 6 months, so I should get 18 months.
Yeah.
So we'll say no, we want to give it just a standard 12 months. So no, we want 18 months. We're not asking for 24 months. I'm asking for 18 months.
Yeah.
So we are negotiating that.
It's a good thing you're aware because a lot of people are not. Yeah. So once once the CCC is out, actually you're buying sub-sale.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good to know.
Since he knows you cannot build him.
Yeah. Don't worry.
It's just
It's okay. For friends, advice is free.
reaffirming what he knows.
If I do get it, I should be able to move in by Christmas and everyone's
Yes, we're looking forward to Geraldine's cooking.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's gonna cook
can
in a
cook
new
Friday.
kitchen.
Gerald's
She
cooking.
can cook Friday.
She's making juice. and-
No. She's buying from outside.
She's buying from Boost Juice.
She's buying from Boost Juice. Her credit is still there.
Well, I'll bring the raw turkey. She can cook. We'll watch.
Raw turkey. You know how large is the turkey?
She's got a fantastic kitchen.
Yeah, I thought you have a chef standard kitchen, with the
Yes.
huge oven.
I wish I have a chef in the kitchen.
kitchen.
No one's going to use it.
Okay, so this one more thing that people don't tell you about, right? So when your partner says they want to cook, make sure they cook on Zanussi first. If they can cook, then you can get them the kitchen that they desire. But in the case of Dr. Inky, I think
saving on the kitchen, man.
happy wife, happy life.
No lah, exactly.
Agreed.
No. So now she knows. Okay, previously she wanted a large kitchen, but now she knows. And after we went through all the stuff already, then she understands. You know what? She's not really gonna cook. Then she understands that all this dream of having a large kitchen with an island and stuff like that. I say, you know what? You're not cooking anyway. You're rarely gonna be stepping into the kitchen. You're probably only gonna go in to get water and come out.
And then for people who don't really cook, this comes from me, and I cook a lot, right? An island kitchen is stupid. It's a bloody waste of time unless your kitchen is so huge, you don't know what you want to do with it. You put an island kitchen.
I love islands.
And
What
so
do you
it's
mean?
exactly,
It's a female thing.
Exactly,
It's a female thing.
So,
It's a female
so
thing.
she wanted an island. I was like, first of all, there's no space for it. And second of all, what's it for? Also that we can sit there and have small meals and snacks.
Yeah.
It doesn't work outside.
Can have a
Plus-
breakfast bar.
Exactly, that's what she said. We can have a nice bar
plus-
there.
Island kitchen is not meant for Asian cooking.
That's true.
I'll be very honest. It's not meant for Asian cooking. You can't do your goreng. You can't
Yes.
do fried fish even,
Yep.
because at least the one on the wall, you only clean the wall and that counter only. The island will be like the whole island and the whole kitchen will be full of oil everywhere. So you cannot Asian cooking. It's very impractical. It takes up a lot of space. And by the time you finish with an island, you imagine even this table as an island. Now you need to have 3 feet walking space.
you need
Every
walking
single
space.
area, 3 feet
Yeah.
walking space. It's a bloody
Yeah,
waste of time.
it's,
I've
it's
done this
a
calculation
waste of
before.
But
It's a
I
waste of
still
space.
love an island.
Get a big house lah. Get a big house. Sacrifice one of the room.
Yeah, just knock off one of the rooms and then just make a huge
In
kitchen.
fact, just put the television in the kitchen and call that the living room too. All right, so I think we're gonna close up today. We've got a couple of these tips about things that people don't tell you when you're buying a house or buying a property, and hopefully this helps you in your pursuit of your dream home. Don't forget, dreams come with a price.
Dreams always come with a
Dreams always come with a price. All right, so with that, we are signing off today. Thank you, Mush, for being here with us again.
No problem.
A lot of tips, a lot of tips.
Actually, a lot of tips.
Very,
A lot of
very
tips. Not just last week, but this week was actually very relevant. Things that we wouldn't know much.
Free legal advice. Not easy to get.
Hello, it's not free legal advice. We're supposed to promote her. So anyone, if you want to know, you want to get a good lawyer to do your SPA, run through your contract. Oh, one more thing that I just want to highlight, things that people don't tell you, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, like me before when I was stupider, right? Is that when you buy the property, you still need to get your own lawyer.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Do not let them
Do not
assign
let
a lawyer.
yeah, do not let them. No, do not use the same lawyer as your developer.
Correct. Do not use the same lawyer as the guy that's selling it to you,
Yes.
because the whole contract will be in their favor, not in your favor. Second thing is also when you have your bank agreement, or get your lawyer to read it, because it is so bloody thick.
Yeah.
with rubbish words and you have no idea what to read. By the time you think you're damn smart as a fake lawyer lah. You watch enough Suits and you thought, okay lah, why is it so difficult? Paralegal like Meghan Markle also can read, right? And you read. By the time you hit the second page, third paragraph, you're like, mong cha cha. Exactly. What the hell? So get a good lawyer. Get a good lawyer. Get a good lawyer that's going to vote in your favor. In this case, I would highly recommend. There you go. Okay, we done a
And she handles Strata as well.
Yeah, she handles Strata. So you want her to be on your side.
Yeah, she
can
can
complain, you know.
Can complain. She sits on the tribunal.
Yeah. And are you the president of the tribunal?
Yes.
Oh, she's president of the tribunal. Still.
Oops, I terus cakap. So Mush may not preside over your case, but she presides over the people who presides over your case.
She knows the people.
She knows the people, you know. So this is like Chief Justice of Strata Management.
Yes, exactly.
No. That is absolutely not true.
You just give her one dude there, right? To be like, Justice Pow. But this is we Mush. Okay, so we are signing off. This is me, Dr. Ali.
And I'm Dr. Inky.
We are from the Two Dogs.
And I'm
Good weekend.